We're gonna get started because if you have people, we're gonna be live streaming, and so, here, we're gonna kind of go through with the programs. It's yours. So we're gonna do this, capture. Raise your hand for this one. The city council is it not? What is redistricting? Rochester City Council is a 9-member legislative body with 5 at-large members and 4 district members. The 4 district seats are subject to redistricting or redrawn. The district determined. Every 10 years, the U.S. Census Bureau counts the entire population of the United States, including the city of Rochester. The Supreme Court declared that equality of voting, determined as 1/3 1 vote, means that, quote,
what is redistricting? Rochester City Council is a 9-member legislative body with 5 at-large members and 4 district members. The 4 district seats are subject to redistricting or redrawing, which takes place under the 1-person, 1-vote ruling of the United States Supreme Court. So how is a district determined? Every 10 years, the U.S. Census Bureau counts the entire population of the United States, including the city of Rochester. The Supreme Court declared that equality of voting, known as 1 person, 1 vote, means that, quote, the weight and worth of the citizens' votes, as nearly as is practicable, must be the same. So the principle of 1 person, 1 vote applies to Rochester City Council's district seats based on this ruling known as the Sanders decision. It's important to note that although the decision uses the term citizens and mentions voting, district size is determined solely on population. It does not matter if those counted are citizens of the United States or registered voters. So how is a district determined? It really follows some pretty simple math. You take the total population of the jurisdiction and you divide that by the number of districts within it. The result is known as the ideal district population. Preferably, districts should not vary by more than a very small percentage. And historically, that's been the case when Rochester looks at redistricting its 4 city council districts. Rochester's districts have been quadrant-based and have changed minimally every 10 years during the redistricting process. Since the process in Rochester has historically been fairly straightforward, you can see from these maps, which show past districts from the 1990s and early 2000s, that they vary really very little from today's districts, which were drawn from 2011 census data. This table depicts changes in population within each of City Council's districts over the past 30 years. As you can see in the table, population shifts within the 4 city council districts have been minimal, and they've created a variance of around 1% or less during the most recent census. So in 2022, how can you get involved in the redistricting process? There are several ways. You can take a short survey, which is available online, either at home or on a computer in any of Rochester's public libraries. You can attend an upcoming public input session, which will be hosted by the League of Women Voters in partnership with Rochester City Council. You may be at one right now. The information presented will be provided to City Council, and City Council members will be present to hear directly from you. After holding public input sessions, gathering survey responses, and collecting other input from citizens, City Council will publish a report outlining all of the input they've received. After this report is published, a redistricting proposal will be submitted to the public and City Council. Once this legislation is proposed, City Council will seek even more comments from the community at a public hearing. And after receiving that citizen input, they will act on the proposed plan. Any new districts must be approved by City Council prior to 2023. On behalf of the Rochester City Council, as well as the League of Women Voters, thank you for your participation in the 2022 redistricting process, and also for your interest in city government.
Okay. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I see the City Council is very well represented. My name is Barbara Grosh. I'm president of the League of Women Voters of the Rochester metro area. We were really pleased and humbled to be invited to participate in this process. I'm sorry, there's no more public here to give us input. So we could make some time available to any members of the public who wish to share thoughts. Bruce, do you have some comments you'd like to share?
We don't do that.
Why don't you come on up here? Yeah. And I was going to limit the public to 3 minutes, but I think we have time to hear whatever you have to say, but if you get too repetitive, okay. Thank you.
I'll let you go. I think I'd be like 3 minutes.
That's perfect. That's it.
I'm Bruce Mellon. I live in Upper Mount Hope neighborhood. And been very much paying attention to the redistricting process, both in the county and the city here. Hoping that we can do the right thing for the residents of the county and the city here in this case. And this, for the city here, I know we've been traditionally doing 4 districts, but I very strongly feel and have talked with a number of other neighborhood leaders that feel that 9 council members is probably more appropriate to go through, even if it takes you through a charter change, whatever that takes to do. Because I think having 9 council member districts with 0 at-large members probably makes a lot more sense. Okay, we'll try this a little bit more. Short of feedback here. So even the county has 9 districts within the city. For example, Buffalo also has 9 districts, where each member of the city council are represent a district. 11 districts would even be better, but I think that might be a hard sell. The current four districts don't keep the communities of common interest together very well in some respects. I think the fellow leaders are looking for more accountability for the various city council members and more of a relationship with an individual city council member. And right now they're spread so thin between the whole quadrant that it doesn't work as well as it could or should. And we need a district to really represent Center City as well, rather than having Center City kind of blended in or assigned to one particular district. We need to have some city council member really to wave the flag and properly rebuild their part of the city and not have them distracted by things outside the Center City, or the other way around, having the Center City needs distracting a council member from their jobs in terms of working with the public in a particular district. So as part of that, we really need to understand better. I'm not sure the city has a real good handle on it at the moment. I know one of the council members attended this a couple of years ago, grew up a bit, but I think we really need to understand where the neighborhoods are. They aren't distinct. They overlap. Some are umbrellas over other districts, and we really need to make sure that the neighborhoods and the communities, those communities of common interest are taken into account when we draw the district lines. We need information, we need a charter change, we need a few things to happen before it can happen. Hopefully it can happen relatively quickly to have all this happen. Having experience doing map making myself, it's a tough process to accommodate all the different interests, both the legal aspects and the numbers balancing and the neighborhoods and the like. But I think it can be done, but we have to have somebody more locally draw the map that understands a lot of these values. So I'm volunteering in some respects. I don't like to get paid for things, but I'm very willing to help with the process. And I think it can help do the right thing for the city's residents in the process. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, thanks for keeping it brief. That's not the direction I was expecting this to take, so I'll just kind of think for a minute about what's the best use of our time. So do you want to have a discussion of the proposal that got thrown out, or would we just take that under advisement and put that on our list of things to think about?
Is there anyone else from the public here that wishes to speak?
I don't think so. So I'm a member of the public. I don't know as much as you guys do about the process. So that would require a charter change, right? What's involved in amending the charter? Is that just a proposal comes in from a council member? Can the council amend the charter themselves, or does it go to a referendum to?
We could change our own section. Better referendum, to my understanding, anything else.
Your own section being the districting section.
And for the purposes tonight, we're really looking for ideas because we don't have a proposal yet from council. So we're really soliciting ideas and not necessarily kind of getting beyond that, just because we don't want to get ahead of anyone else who might have input. I think it's encouraging though that hopefully we'll get more participation on Saturday. The session begins at 11.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So I had a couple of other questions as a member of the public. So we've got quadrants. We've got quadrants for city administration, and we've got quadrants for representation. They're not exactly the same. They're kind of close. Like, would it make any sense to try to follow them closely? How hard would that be? What would the changes be that are involved in that?
We require an alignment with the on the part of the administration with the neighborhood service center quadrants and the city council.
It's certainly been discussed, but nothing's finalized.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that is an administrative decision.
Yeah, I can imagine that it's complicated and that they have reasons for administratively and they don't necessarily correspond with exactly equal or close enough to equal. Population. Okay. Are you representatives getting the public talking to you about redistricting? Do you hear complaints about any particular aspect of the lines?
So as a representative for the South District, prior to this meeting, I had a meeting with representatives and leaders in my district. Bruce was a part of that process. We had a Zoom meeting early on during this process when it first rolled out, so I can get their thoughts. And the predecessor, the person who was handling that was William Sullivan. He was handling the redistricting process, and we met with him. So we had the initial remarks and suggestions from that group in my district.
Okay. Okay, well, if there's no more members of the public to speak, maybe we should make it a wrap for tonight.
Is there anybody online?
Oh, that's a good question.
No, there's 11 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah. It's not in this room, it's in this room again. Okay. Super. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, yeah, we came prepared, the League of Women Voters always comes prepared. I know you guys are all registered to vote, but we have a bunch of flyers that the league publishes. Things like voting rights for people with felony convictions. There's so many people who are misinformed on that. So if you would like to have some flyers on hand that you can hand out to your constituents, feel free to help yourselves. We also have voting rights for the homeless, voting rights for people with disabilities, voting rights for people with mental health problems, and for students. So we publish. So feel free to stop by and pick up some of our literature and help spread it. Yeah, yeah, we have more. Yeah. Right, well, you all that's
Just some housekeeping, but just to thank the League of Women Voters for partnering with Rochester City Council for this redistricting forum. It is the first forum. We wish we'd had a little more public participation, but we can never guarantee that, obviously, at these events. But there is another forum on Saturday, 11 a.m. It'll be held here in the Custer Cox room of the Rundell Public Library. It also will be streamed online, and so we're very eager to get as much public input as possible. I do want to note that tonight in the audience here at the Rundell Building in Rochester Public Central Library, all members of City Council were present or represented by their aides in order to be a part of the redistricting process and public input. There's also a survey online, which we would encourage you to take part in. And you can give your input that way as well. So on behalf of Rochester City Council and League of Women Voters, thank you very much. We hope to see you and hear from you on Saturday or via the internet and our online survey. Thank you.